Okay everyone, I kind of have a different camera angle today because I've got this camera going back and forth and I had to put the main camera above it, so it's like you're looking down on me here. But that was the solo to Mother by Pink Floyd. David Gilmour is just masterful in it, like always. And I took from both the recorded version and the studio version when I did what I just did there. What I want to do is I wanted to show you the little things that make the solo work and how if you take them away, the solo is just completely different. It's a lot of things that you could do to kind of ruin a good solo. And I've seen many people do this, including myself, do some great solos. So I kind of wanted to warn you against it so you don't make the same mistakes. And at the end of this video, I'll do a version where I try to mess up all the things that I say are important. Okay, so the first thing I'll talk about is not bending in tune. So you might underbend or overbend. And what happens when you do that is a part that's usually very powerful can just sound wrong and lose all its effectiveness. So let's say right off the bat when I do that first bend, like what if I went, see how your ear is concentrating more on how it doesn't sound right so that it loses its impact. So really watch those bends. And by the way, it's just as easy to overbend. And that sounds bad too. There are times when that works, but not in this case. So what I like to do is I like to put a snark tuner or something on my guitar, bend and make sure it's in tune. It seems very particular, very, I don't know, over the top, but it works. And that's what we teach on the website. A lot of little tricks to bending in tune. And you don't have to do that forever, just at first, and then you get better at it. You don't need the tuner after a while. The second thing is going to be a lack of vibrato. Now, what's so great about the live version that David Gilmour does is he's using his trem bar to do vibrato. So not only do you have to get good at your normal vibrato with your hand, with your fretting hand, but you also have to throw in this trem vibrato, which, by the way, I watched some Roger Waters versions of this song where he plays it live with different guitar players, and they don't always do the vibrato with the trem bar, but I think it adds so much if you watch Gilmour do it. So you might get this sound. Isn't that a smooth vibrato? Now if I just use my fretting hand to do it, it's a little different sound, so you have to master both worlds to really capture what Gilmour does most of the time. Here's a little detail I missed when I was first learning the solo. At the very end, a lot of guitar players play it up here. And that's how I learned it in the beginning. But if you watch the live video from 1980, Gilmour plays it here, which is a little more risky because now you're on the skinny strings, the first string in particular, and it could be a little bit harder to control than the second string when it comes to bending and for vibrato. So it's kind of cool is you have to be really careful when you're here, but you can also rake into it easier when you're playing it in this position. So when he gets to this 10th fret, he doesn't just hit it, he rakes into it. See that little before I hit the note? And that's what adds what I call traction. And I love the feel of that when I play down the guitar, and I also love the sound of it. It really makes the notes stick out in a cool way. This might seem kind of stupid, but if you forget to do the hammer-ons and pull-offs where they're supposed to be, it's really easy to lose that smoothness that Gilmour always has when he plays. So in particular, this part. See how I did that bend, and then as I released it, I did a pull-off, which is a nice technique. I saw somebody play it like this before. It just doesn't have the same smoothness that Gilmour is known for. So you gotta put the hammer-ons and pull-offs in the right places. Like I said, at the end of this video, I'll do the wrong version and it's gonna sound a little too choppy. Gilmour is a master of space. So when you're playing this solo, you have to know when not to make sound. And it's easy to do as a guitar player to try to fill all the gaps because sometimes it's a little scary not to play anything, but there are times when you just have to play nothing and let the gap happen so that when you do play something, it has a bigger effect. So silence is a great way to contrast between the sounds. So for example, all right, now let me kind of contradict what I just said. There are times when you don't want space. You want something to connect licks together, and that's totally cool too. And a great way to do that is with slides. And Gilmour puts an epic slide in here when he goes like this. Was that a great slide? So I picture it like being an elevator, taking you up to the next hand position. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't skip them when it comes to certain Pink Floyd solos because they just lose something when that slide's not there. Especially when the delay pedal is engaged and you could hear it really stick out. It's kind of like doing it twice. Watch. Do you hear it following? There's a part that's pretty difficult. It's like sweep picking, but we're going to come backwards and it's 12th fret, 12th fret, 12th fret. B, G, D, and you have to go like this. And I've seen some people jump and it becomes really choppy. So what I like to do is use finger rolling. And when we go over sweep picking on the website, we talk a lot about how the first finger can roll sometimes to form a straight line, which can be a little bit difficult. Choppy. Rolling. Takes a long time to master that, but once you do, you get such a smooth effect, you're glad you did. And the final one is probably the most important. It's lacking dynamics. It's an easy way to ruin a good solo. So if you played everything at 100%, there are no ups or downs. Just like I said, when there are no gaps, when there's no silence, there's no room to breathe, everything just seems like one long note. When you play everything at 100%, it just feels like you're constantly punching the notes and there's no relief from it. So you want to give it more dynamics as you play, so hard and soft. What happens is, as a guitar player, we can control which notes we play, so which pitches, how long we play them, but we often forget we can also control how hard or soft we can play. So if I played everything 100%, not only is that hard on your fingers because you're playing 100% all the time, but it's not very musical. So there are times when you want to back off, and it comes through better when you're able to do that. So a good example of that is at the end. So I played softer there. All right, now the fun part. Let's do the solo again, but let's add all the things that I said would ruin the solo in at one time, and let's see what it sounds like. Okay, that's actually hard to try to mess up like that. After a while, you get so used to playing automatically and things just happen that when you actually examine them, it's interesting to see that it's hard to undo what you're so used to doing. So anyway, it's a good practice. Maybe you guys might want to try that. See what you do, see what makes your playing tick, see all the things that you put into your playing that you're not even aware of that makes your style happen. All right, everyone, this was a fun video to make. Hopefully it makes you appreciate Gilmour as much as it did for me. I know when I first made my Gilmour techniques video, I had all the respect in the world for him, and getting detailed with this solo added to that even more, so it was fun to do. Thanks for watching, you guys. I'm going to try to put out a lot of videos in the next 10 days. We'll see what happens, but we'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.